It's open for three. Dagger!
Hello, and welcome back to Well Beyond the Arc. I'm Montana, joined by my co-host David. Got a lot of basketball to talk today. Last week it was just a little All-Star break special edition talk, but we got a lot of hoops to talk this week. David, how's your day going so far, bro?
It's been good, very good, very warm. Yeah, kind of taken back from the chillness of last week. It's been warm. I can't complain. It's been really good.
Yes, sir. That's always better than the coldness of last week. I got to Nebraska and I just missed it, but it sounded terrible. And it's warm here too. It's like 50 or 60. So that's
Uh,
can't complain with that. It's perfect weather. Starting some hoop talk. We got good, bad, and ugly as always. Starting with good. My good has to be the Lakers beating the Nuggets, 123 to 100. But let's be honest. Especially, I mean, even not seeing it live in the arena, watching it on TV, I'm sure some of the fouls looked absolutely ridiculous. But being there live, it was insane. So Lakers would have won either way. I want to say right away, I'm not saying Lakers wouldn't have won. Lakers would have won, but it would have been by a little less than 23 points. Some of those fouls were a little bit, but it was on both sides. There were fouls being called on both sides that were ridiculous. So in my opinion, it was even because they were being called on both sides and there were some interesting calls. But the game was really good. Luka put up a 30-piece and had a really, really nice game. His first game breaking 20 for the Lakers. Obviously coming back from an injury, so that's a factor in everything. But LeBron had himself a nice little game as well. It was a really good showing from all the players. We really did a great job of shutting Joker down. I mean, it was a really solid game top to bottom. So that's my good for this week. I was wrong. I thought we were losing, to be honest with you. But I also thought Joker was going to drop 30 plus, and he was held under 20. So did he have a triple double? Yes, but honestly, we've seen triple doubles where it doesn't end up mattering in the final score of the game, and that was one of them. So even though he had a triple double, it didn't make a difference. So for me, that's my good this week. What about you?
I was going to go to Lakers, but I actually have to give credit where credit is due, and I might have to come end of the season. I might have to be one of those people and hold my hands up and be like I was wrong. But the Golden State Warriors before Jimmy trade, they were scoring 101 points a game. After Jimmy trade, that increased by 11, 122 points a game. I don't know who's calling me. Um, but yeah, so Golden State Warriors, shout out to the Warriors. Since the Jimmy trade, yeah, 5-1. I think what we all said, this trade wouldn't move a needle. We're all part of the people that said this trade wouldn't do anything. But it looks like he's actually doing something. Obviously, Jimmy is not putting up the numbers that we expect. But when you have Steph, why does he have to do that? All he has to do is just do what he needs to do. Another big body in the lineup, with Dre, and it's looking good for the Warriors. So I have to shout out to the Warriors. You know, big ups Warriors. I actually like what y'all are doing.
I have to agree. That was my second choice. I could not pick the Lakers just because being able to see them finally beat the Nuggets after losing so many times was so good. But the Warriors look really good. And I think that even though obviously still in the standings, they're not out of, that ninth, eighth spot. I think they'll keep moving up. I think they'll be on a little streak. I wouldn't be shocked if they end up sixth or seventh. Sixth might be a little bit of a stretch, but I don't think they're going to finish where they're at now. So shout out to the Warriors. I also like this is kind of the first time I have also been on the same page about with the Warriors, and I've liked what they've been doing. So I'm really excited when we play them as well. I'm really excited to see that matchup. I think it's going to be a really good game. So shout out to the Warriors. Moving on to bad, it has to be Wemby out for the season with blood clot. And not only is that, honestly, that was going to be my ugly, but my ugly is worse. It's not really worse. It's worse in my opinion for different reasons. But Wemby, because we've seen like Chris Bosh, his career was ended because of blood clots. It might not be that serious, but it's just that is a really scary thing to see a player go out for, or just see anyone have. So, and all that aside, dude was going to win Defensive Player of the Year, And
Mm-hmm.
now
Now
arguably
he's
the
in,
players
he's
that
in
will
it.
win it, or AD
Yeah.
and him, are both not going to be able to win it. So that award is going to be dumb this year. I don't even want to talk. I mean, I don't even know. It's going to be ridiculous who ends up winning it, because the player that should be winning it, averaging almost 4 blocks a game at last I checked, or at least 3 plus, is now not even going to be able to finish the season off. And so it's bad for the Spurs. I mean, the Spurs also made a move to get Fox, and they thought they were going to be able to make a little push. And so it's bad all the way around. So yeah, that's my bad. It has to be Wemby being out. I hope he recovers and comes back stronger, because he is he's a fun player to watch. He really is. He's a super unique player to watch, and so I hope he comes back healthy next season.
Yeah. Yeah. I even forgot about that, Loki. It's been what, almost a week when that news broke that he was out for the season. So I don't know how I forgot about that. But I'm still not going to change my ugly. My bad has to be OKC Thunder last night, choking what, a 21-point game with 3 minutes left. They were up 21 with 3 minutes left and they choked it. That is mental. I mean, obviously they say no lead is safe, but 3 minutes in the fourth quarter, you can't keep a 21-point game, number one seed in West. Obviously, I'm not calling out their credentials, but that's just mental to see. What's That's mental. That was going to be my no, that wasn't going to be my ugly, because I think my ugly is definitely much more worse. But yeah.
No, that is a bad for sure. My ugly, I don't think I've ever done this as an ugly before, but my ugly is a take that I had a couple weeks ago on the 76ers.
Oh, but that's actually not season one. That's also my ugly too.
Oh, man.
Oh,
But anyways, I made that right before All-Star break, and now they're like, I don't know if they've won a game since. I think they've won
8 game losing streak. 8 game
so
skid.
so that I take that back. First of all, I take that back, and I honestly believed it. I thought they were going to be able to turn it around, but I think they lost by like 30 plus points against teams that they should not be losing against. So I definitely don't think they are going to make the playoffs, and I don't think that team is going to look like it does next season. So I don't know what that means, but I don't think the team that they assembled is probably going to still be there next season. So yeah, that's my ugly. It's the take that I had about, I think it was 2-3 weeks ago. Definitely thought it was going to start turning around, and instead it was going the same exact direction. So 8 game losing streak, and I don't see them coming out of that. I think they could win a few games this season, but I don't think they're even breaking 30.
I think their last win was against the Lakers. Pissing win. Pissing, because Lakers should have won that game. But it is what it is. Um Again, I don't know. Joel Embiid keeps surprising me, and I refer back to I don't know if you've watched the Cut of Gold, the series on Netflix, but bro played the whole Olympics. What did he do between the Olympics and when the season started that he got injured? No way you are in training camp and you got injured. I don't get it, because they're a totally different team when Embiid is playing, right? And obviously we all saw the news, or if you are living on that rock and you did see news, getting imaging on his knee from pro played the whole Olympics. And this problem has been for him to miss the start of the season, and then obviously Paul George. I don't even know. I love Paul George, but at the same time I'm like, and I know he's been trying to play through the injury, but his production has just not it. So Philly, I guess this season belongs to the Eagles, and we'll leave it at that.
Hey Fred, for real, that's about all there is to it. Yeah, that unfortunately they're definitely not making the push this season. So maybe next season, but I don't think the team's going to look like it does this season next year. I think there'll be some movement, but they already made so much movement for this season, so it's going to be interesting to see how they get out of that. So definitely an ugly, but we'll see. Maybe it'll turn itself around next season. But moving on, we've got a game that takes place tonight. It is not as exciting as it was going to be, because obviously Anthony Davis is not in. If Anthony Davis was in, this would be the game. But I'm talking Lakers versus Mavericks. I believe, is it in Los Angeles? or is it in? So it's in Los Angeles. Obviously, Luka just had himself a pretty solid game against Denver away. That should scare Dallas just a little bit, just a little bit. What are your thoughts about Lakers versus Nuggets? Again, obviously there's the Lakers versus Mavs. Do you think the Mavs are missing a lot of key players, especially on the size end, but obviously the Lakers don't have an overwhelming size advantage on their side. I would say they do have the size advantage because some players are out. But do you think the Lakers have a large advantage and will absolutely blow the brakes off the Mavs like the Warriors just did the other night? Or do you think the Mavs are going to fight and it's going to be a good game that goes down to the wire? What are your thoughts about tonight's game that's at 9 o'clock?
Fights. Yeah, right. Again, as you said, if AD was playing, I think it would have been better. Kyrie will do what Kyrie does. He will try his best and he'll do what he needs to do. But I just think Luca has a chip on his shoulder. And I think LeBron will also go in there, considering what happened last time where they were meant to blow out Dallas in Dallas, and they ended up not doing that. So I think they will step up. I'm trying to keep this simple because I don't want to say too much because there's nothing really to say too much about it. Luca will go off. I don't want to say it to be a blowout, but I think it will be a comfortable win.
I think it definitely will be too, because it's not like we're looking at a Klay Thompson that's putting up like 30 points a game, or they're definitely the Mavs are a pretty solid team that are on an injury rotation. There's always a couple of their players that seem to be out, and right now they're missing their biggest one in Anthony Davis. And Anthony Davis, the way he played in that first game before he went down, had he played tonight, both AD and Luca would have been going absolutely insane and would have been putting up it would have been a way better game. 100%. I think the Lakers, seeing what they did to the Nuggets who have size the other night, I think the Lakers honestly will be able to make it work with who they have for the rest of the season. They made their choice on who they have, and I think they're going to be able to make it work. So I think it's a decently even matchup size wise, and I think the Lakers, like you said, Luca has a chip on his shoulder. I think he could drop 40 plus points tonight. Honestly, I think LeBron is just going to feed him and is just going to help him do what he does, and then you're also going to have LeBron, who's I'm sure going to score 20 plus points. So I think, like you said, comfortable win. I don't want to say blowout. I do think they'll win by 10 plus points. But I don't think it'll be the 123 to 100 game we saw the other night against the Nuggets. I do think, like you said, Kyrie's going to do what he does. And I also think the Mavs show up. The players that are going to be playing, I think, will show up. So I think it'll be a good game, but Luka's going to go off. 40 plus point, I think, performance. Could it be less? Yes, but I really don't think that. I think he's putting up 40 plus tonight. So I'm excited. As a Lakers fan, it's good. We need this momentum. We have some more marquee matchups later in the week that we'll talk about closer to the end of the show. Maybe those are bigger than tonight's matchup, but we got to get through the night first. And I would love to see this win streak continue because we moved up to fourth, I believe. We're fourth now. And so I really want to see that continue. And so shout out to the Lakers. I hope it's a good game. I'll definitely be tuning in. I would love to see it go down to the wire as a fan of exciting games, but as a Lakers fan, I'm trying to see a 10, 15, 20 point win. So time will tell. We'll obviously touch back in on all these games next week and see if we're continuing a win streak or if we're on a bit of a lose streak. We'll see. Moving on, we're going to talk about the Suns because the Suns are currently, I believe, 11th in the West, and there's a lot of talks about that team completely, not completely disbanding, but like we're talking Kevin Durant on the move and several other players potentially on the move from that team in this summer, especially if they miss the playoffs. My question for you is, first of all, do you think Kevin Durant is leaving the Suns 100% this summer, no matter what? And then my second question is, do they have a play-in chance, or do you think this is it for them? Because look who's in front of them. We've got the teams like the T-Wolves. We've got teams like the Warriors, the Mavs. Do you think they can really get back in with where they're at right now?
It's the Wild Wild West. You know, anything is possible. It's the Wild Wild West. I'm not to answer a second question. I didn't make anything is possible. I'm not going to rule them out. What are they? They are 2 points behind, 2 wins. Sorry, 2 wins behind tens. Script 2 wins. We've seen them go on a win streak. So yeah, it's Wild Wild West. I'm not going to rule them out because they have Kevin Durant, they have Bradley Beal, they have what's his name, Devin Booker. No offense, Devin Booker, but like that's just what it is. So we won't rule them out. Now to your first question. Well, yeah, we've all seen that the whole turmoil thing and the locker room being in turmoil and stuff like that. Um, yeah, I think KD, the fact that he committed to them and then his name is was still being in trade rumors, substantial, like not even I don't even want to say trade rumors because trade rumors sound like someone just made up from somewhere. His name was actually in trade talks, like they were actually having talks for it. I think that was a that rubbed him the wrong way for an organization that he felt he committed to. You know, not just him, but then guys like Bradley Beal also, again, signed a no trade clause. Like obviously that doesn't mean anything, but like they were committed to him and then they benched him. I don't know. There are a bunch of stuff in the organization I don't get. I don't even know when the organization became a big organization, low key. But it's sad to see. I do think they will be disbanded. I think something will have to happen. Either because I know Budenholzer is not going down for it. I know that's not happening. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. It's be an interesting off season.
That it really will be. There'll be a lot of movement and a lot of potential happening in this offseason. So there'll be a lot to follow with that, even possibly outside of just the Suns. I will say, like you said, it's the wild, wild west. Personally, though, I think their one chance is to maybe get up in that 10th seed. But I think that is their only, I think that is the highest they will go. And the Kings are currently in that seed and they're 2 games ahead. But again, the Kings, I made this call before All-Star break, and I'm actually sticking to this one. I do think the Kings will keep in at least playing position, and I think they could move up even 1 or 2 spots. I don't think that the Suns make the play-in. I think it's possible, but I think it's very, very, very slim. There's a slim chance. I think they have to start going on a run. They have to start playing like a team because when they're on the court, they look really out of place. They don't even really, honestly, to me, they haven't ever really gotten that chemistry down. It looks like they have some good nights together, but it's really, and part of that is because they're a rotating injury team. Just like I said, I don't remember what team it was, but there are these teams in the NBA that are just always rotating. Players are rotating around with who's in, who's out, and it's hard for you to build chemistry like that. And this is an example of that. The Suns have never been able to build chemistry with who they have, and so I think Katie's gone. I saw a comment. I'll pull it back up. I don't know where Katie is going. I honestly I couldn't even tell you at this point. At this point right now, I'm not sure where he would go, but I think he's going to I think the only player that they will not look at doing something with, even if it's not right away, is Devin Booker. I think they are looking at a rebuild around Devin Booker. And that I think is the only smart thing you can do if you are the Suns at this point, because it didn't work. And a lot of us talked about and how it wasn't working, how we didn't think it was going to work, and how it hasn't been working the whole time. Obviously, they still did it, and they even, in my personal opinion, committed to it a little bit too long. I think they should have. I don't love when teams just blow it up, but I think this is it's there's been signs that this has not been working for a couple of seasons. So, anyways, that's just where I don't dislike Kevin Durant. I'm not a huge fan of him, but I would be excited to see him go to one more place and see what he does, because for the NBA, it's cool to see a player like him and see what he does. I hated when he was on the Warriors, but since then I have enjoyed seeing him move around, especially because he hasn't been able to figure out another super team. So it's kind of been interesting to see the formulas not work and everything. So it'll be cool to see what he does, who he decides to go with. Will he go to a rebuild team? Will he go to a contender? It'll be interesting to see what happens. So I am looking forward to that. And again, I think Devin Booker's the only player that is safe, if you want to call it, because I think that's the only dude that's proven he can get the job done. And I think we've seen more success. We saw more success on a Devin Booker led team with a lot of really solid role players than we ever saw with.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the thing. I think you need to look at the success, and that's Booker, and then look at the things you move on from, and that's honestly, at least Kevin Durant. If you can move on from Beal, you definitely do, but it's not that easy, obviously. So maybe that's something that happens in the future, or you hold on and it works out with a different group of players. So I think Kevin Durant, not that he's the problem, is the piece that needs to be moved for that team to move on. So obviously we'll touch back in, but that'll probably be, that'll movement will be in the offseason. And who knows, maybe we'll be talking in a few weeks and the Suns are on a run and they're making a push for the play-in. Again, I don't see them getting above that 10th spot, but you never know because, like you said, it is the Wild West. So we'll touch back in as we go with that. Moving along, we're going to touch back in on our MVP and see if it's changed. We're not even going to go top three. We're just going to go number one. I'm going to start by saying, after not even just the other night, I will say part of it was seeing Joker get locked up by Rui and by Vanderbilt, seeing him not break 20 points. And
That's not fair. That's not fair. You can't base on one performance. That's not fair.
I'm not. No. I'm not. I'm saying seeing it live, and then doing a little more research, and there's been like 10 to 15 to 20 performances where he hasn't even broken 20. And it's like he does a lot more. He does a lot more than just score. But SGA's only had one game under 20 points the entire season, and it was like an 18-point performance. So I am admitting that I was 100% incorrect. And I've watched some Nuggets games throughout the season, but honestly, seeing Joker get shut down like he did and seeing that the Lakers figured it out when there was a percentage difference of AD in that, and
Seven
it was
shots. 7 shots. He only took 7 shots the whole game. I mean, he missed whatever amount, but he only took 7.
locked down. He couldn't do anything. He could not do a single seeing he could not do anything. He really could not. Like, he was getting pissed. He was getting extremely mad because he couldn't do what he usually does. And there's been sometimes this season where that has happened to him. And SGA has really not had it. No one's been able to really lock him down. That's the one thing. That's like the difference that for me, seeing it live and then kind of looking at how I would say Joker has been successfully locked down multiple times this season, or just what he does best has not happened in enough games. And then you look at SGA, and what SGA does best is score. Does he do more than score? Absolutely. But we're looking at a dude that has one under 20-point performance, and then all of them are above 25 plus for the rest of them. So not that it's all about scoring, but obviously the NBA is an offensive scoring league now, and you take SGA off OKC and they're not winning as many games as they are now. I would say they're still a solid team that would probably be second, maybe third, but I don't think they would be. He's their exclamation mark on their team, and I think Joker is that for the Nuggets. But seeing him get locked down and then looking at some of the other games and times that he's been locked down, for me, an MVP is a person that can't get locked down, and I think that's SGA. So I'm changing I think that was first episode we did back this season. We did MVP. So that's 3 or 4 or 5 shows ago, but definitely. And Joker has also had some performances within that time that have been.
I mean, he did drop 19 assists yesterday, so
he did drop 19 assists. So you're saying he's your MVP now?
No, I'm just giving you points as to why, someone might say,
I don't know.
It is what it is. I'm where I am. I'm SGA from minute one, since the moment OKC locked up that number 1 spot. Because what I like to know, they're looking up. Let's forget the loss yesterday. It happens to every team. This is the NBA. It happens to every team. You can score 5 3-pointers in a row. Just play good defense in 2 minutes, score 5 3-pointers in less than 2 minutes, and you can clear a 20-point lead. So it doesn't matter, So that was just a lapse in judgment. But still, SGA. That's what I'll say. SGA, he's yeah. I'm not going to say too much. My number 1 pick remains my number 1 pick. I don't even have to say what he's doing. We all see what he's doing. You said yourself, one game of 20. He's on a streak of 20 plus games in I don't know how what the streak is going on to. But you say only one game of 20 points. He does it on both ends of the floor, defense, offense, assists, rebounds, does everything, steals, you know.
That's another thing defensively. I would say Joker has his nights where he's not as productive. Like there's not. I would say SGA is more of an exclamation mark for his team on both sides of the ball than
Mhm.
Joker is. And the Nuggets did, like when I said the MVP pick and said the Nuggets would start going on a run, they started picking up the pace a little bit, going on a
They
little
went
bit
9 wins. Yeah, they went 9 wins.
huge,
Now before they
huge.
played the Lakers. Yeah, it was
They
nine
were
wins.
huge, but also
Their defense
again,
was terrible.
yeah. And Joker, I think you said it best. One performance doesn't really do it, but honestly, seeing the Lakers go do that to the Nuggets, it kind of does because we haven't been able to do that when we had AD, when we had so it's like if they're able to get beat like that by a team with no size, because again, being there at the game, like fans were getting extremely pissed off and mad about the defense on Joker, and Joker was getting super visibly upset, and he couldn't find his flow. Joker is a player that has a flow, and when he finds his flow, he gets 19 assists like yesterday against the Pacers. He gets his flow, he finds his flow. When I've gone to most of my games at Ball Arena, he's had his flow and he's had a 20 to 30 point triple double even if we've won. He didn't do that. I don't remember exactly what he had, but he did not do that. He didn't find his footing and he didn't look like himself. And I definitely think that when we're looking down the list of games, he's had a lot more performances like that than SGA this season. SGA again has had one, I believe it was an 18-point performance, maybe 16, but I think it was 16 or 18-point performance. That's his lowest. And then we're looking at an OKC team that is by far the best team in the NBA, and they haven't lost that. When we did our first episode, it was like you never know what could happen post All-Star break, up to leading up to All-Star break, nothing changed. So they are still the best team, and I don't think anything will change. I'm going to be honest. I believe it goes, does it go OKC, Nuggets, Memphis, Lakers? Is that the four?
OKC Nuggets, OKC Nuggets, Memphis, and Lake. Yeah, four.
So I don't see anyone dethroning the Thunder, not even close. I mean, you're looking at the Nuggets that are 38 and 20. So, they're around 8, 9, but I don't think they can go on that. I think the Lakers, I don't want to say the Lakers exposed them because you just saw, like you said, Joker had a 19 assist performance. And I think it was another triple double. I believe
No,
he
it's one like two rebounds, 2 assists shy of a triple double, something like that. It was a close game, low key. Was if the Pacers obviously got a few stops, was what 5 9 point game. So if they're yeah, they took a 19 assist game from Joker to get them through that.
Yeah, no. I don't think this Nuggets team is as good as they were
Mm-hmm.
in the past. And I think Joker is not that I'm saying that Joker, like I'm not trying to make LeBron say anything about they're completely different players, but a player like LeBron makes everyone around him better. I think Joker or has, and I mean, look at the Cavs when he left in 2018. And I mean, that you take him off of a lot of the teams he's been on, other than like a Miami with the big three, or even, I suppose, a Cavs 2016 championship team. But a lot of the teams he's been a part of, you take him out of, and they're not as successful. I'm not 100% sure. Joker makes players better, makes teams better, but I also think we've seen a little bit of a lull and a little bit of a lack in productivity from that team, and they've had a lot of injuries. I mean, we've seen a lot of injuries on Denver too, so that's a huge reason for that. That honestly could be a big reason for inconsistency because injuries make it hard for you to build that up, even if you're a championship team, because a lot of these players were that team from that were from that championship team. A lot of them, not all of them, but there's a good amount that were on that team, at least a core amount. So it's definitely, I don't know. I think injuries are probably a big part of it too. the inconsistencies. But I think Denver's a more inconsistent team. I'm not going to say that they're a worse team. Obviously, they're second in the West right now, but I think they're an inconsistent team. And I wouldn't be shocked if we see some more inconsistent losses or some more games where they need like a 19 assist performance from Joker to win. So I think, I don't know. I don't think they're going to go as far as they did last season or the season before. I think we're going to see them have a quicker end of their season, but time will tell. Honestly, who knows? But again, I'm giving it to SGA. I think that will remain um, because I think we'll see again more inconsistency from the Nuggets. I think the Thunder are going to be the exact opposite of that. I wouldn't be shocked if they finish still with 6 to 8 to 10 games ahead of second by the end of the season, just because I think I don't see them stopping. I don't see them stopping. There were some fans behind me talking about how SGA only puts up big numbers against bad teams. And I'm just like, it's insane. It's insane to hear someone say something like that because literally he has put up big numbers against almost everybody. I was looking at his point totals, not even just like he scored 100+ points in 3 games against several like the Warriors. He has 100+ points on this season or something like that. Like he scores, and that is what wins games. And not only does he score, he gets back on defense and he plays. He is by far the best guard in the NBA, and if he doesn't win MVP, if he continues how he's playing for the rest of the season and doesn't win MVP, that would be insane. I've got to be honest, because Joker, there's been enough inconsistencies there for me to not think he's going to be able to win I think it'd be his 4th one. I just don't think and I think this is his last chance. I don't see Joker. I think this is Joker's last chance. And tell me your thoughts. Do you think Joker has more opportunities to win MVPs, or do you think this, with all the players that are in the league, whatever, do you think this might be one of his last chances to win it realistically?
Yeah, no, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, it's it, it's all it's all the media votes, and it's all fatigue. The same way how we all wanted the Chiefs to lose because we were fatigued of it. It's kind of what it is. Probably he might play very good. This is an international league. Let's call it what it is. International players run the league. So will he win? Will he have maybe one more? Maybe, and then everyone will be like, okay, now he's done. What done? He hasn't really done much other than I don't know. That's a good question, but I don't know the answer to that.
No, I mean it's fair because, like you said, it's very media based, and it's not like, is it team success based? Is it player success?
Stats.
It's been such a mix of everything, and certain years have looked more like it's been based on one of those things. But it's very media heavy. It is media heavy. It's a media award essentially. A lot of those are media based awards, and Joker is a player that brings in that hype, and he brings in the stats too. I mean, he is a triple double machine. One thing about Joker is, I would say he's the best passing big man of all time, has the most skill passing the basketball of all time. I would say, I don't want to say it's not even close, but it's pretty, I'd say it's a pretty far margin from number 2. I would say that's really the only thing he's like the best or up there at. Can he score? Absolutely. Is he a great rebounder? Absolutely. But I would say assists is the thing that sets him apart from other big men in history of NBA. I don't see that ever changing. I think he'll always be able to get triple doubles, even if he's not scoring 20+ points. I think he's averaging like 28, 29, 27, something like that. Even if his numbers go down as time goes on, I think he'll always be a triple double player. I don't think that will ever go away, but I think we're looking at SGA winning this year, and then I can absolutely see him going on a tear, not even just next season, but for the rest of his career. Anthony Edwards, Luka. I mean, there's so many of these younger players that are coming up. I think there will be a point where we'll see Joker drop off, but I think he could have one more season where he's in it. I think I would give him one more season max to be comfortably in MVP talk, at least during a good amount of the season. And then I think after that, maybe we're looking at him in the top 10, or he has his moments, but I do think it'll come to an end eventually because there's a lot of talent coming up. So time will tell. And I mean, if Wemby gets healthy, I would not be shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Wemby is absolutely the dude. So there are so much there's so much unknown, so much talent, and we'll see what happens. But I definitely hope we see Joker keep having those performances because it is fun. It's fun as a Lakers fan. It's fun to see him be shut down when we play him. But when he plays any other team, I do like seeing him go off and show a little of what he has because it is special. That is 100% the case. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously we'll check back in. Maybe Joker will start putting up 40-point performances in a row, and I'll change my opinion again. But I'm pretty solid and set with SGA for the rest of the season because I think below Joker there's a big fall off. I think you literally have Joker and you have SGA, and then I think there's a pretty wide. We don't even have to do lists anymore because I think there's a drop off below that. So honestly, we'll obviously touch back in on that eventually. Moving on, we're going to talk a little bit of Rockets and Pistons because those are two teams that didn't even make the play-in last season, and now they are. Rockets are fifth, and the Pistons are sixth currently, I believe. And my
Mm-hmm.
question to you is this: do you think both of these teams stay out of play-in position for the rest of the season, or do you think there's a chance that these teams end up in a play-in position? And then my second question is, these are teams in different conferences, but between these two teams that had nothing last season, who goes the farthest in the postseason, do you think?
They both end up the same place. First round. Uh mm, mm. Rockets has more chance to go farther.
Ooh, we got it. Okay.
It depends on who the Detroit Pistons play. Because well, you finish in 6 seed, you play a team in the play. Is that what it is? You finish in the 5th seed, I think you play the 4th seed or something like that. If you finish in the 4th seed, you play the 5th seed. Finish in the 3 seed, you play the 4th. I don't know what the stuff is about. But I don't know. I think they both go out at the same time. I think they both go out at the same time. Um, I think they are good, but I don't think they have the experience of going through a 7 game series. This will probably be their first one, like the Kings. We also saw what happened to the Kings. The Warriors were not that good, and then they faced the Kings that were really high, and obviously experience took over. So that was probably they'll both end up finishing in the same place. Now, in terms of playing, no, I don't think any of them will make playing. I think Detroit were on the 7 game win streak, second longest win streak in the NBA right now, or first longest win streak in the NBA. I think Cavs have the highest, or the something like that. Rockets are way better than those teams on paper and obviously the regular season because anything can happen in regular season. Rockets are way better than so many teams in the NBA right now. So no, I don't think they'll make the play. I think they'll both make the playoffs, finishing as whatever seed above the 6th seed.
I
So
definitely,
yeah,
yeah, no, I definitely don't see them dropping down because even though, I mean, the Rockets have a nice 4-game lead over, I believe, the next seed, and they are a team that they're very top to bottom. They're very well coached. They've got a
yeah.
depth. They've got a really nice age on their team too. They've got decent health. I mean, they've had some spells of some injuries, but they've got pretty good, consistent health. So they're a pretty
Mm-hmm.
decent squad. I think the Pistons have a chance at going farther, but I think their max is the second round. I think the farthest I can see them going is this, but it's about matchups. You said it best. It's all about matchups because they could easily get a matchup that is super tough and then they get bounced. But I think the Rockets will go out first. I think we'll see the Pistons
Mm-hmm.
maybe go second round. Um, I don't know. I think the Rockets don't have what it takes to beat a lot of teams in a 7-game series. I think they can beat a lot of teams in a singular game, but I think there's a lot of teams even below them in a play-in situation that might have more playoff experience or might have a little more and might just be able to take advantage and beat them in a 7-game series. So I think Houston is out no matter what, but I think in the first round, but I think the Pistons are a first round exit, possibly depending on who they play, but I think they have
Yeah,
go in second round.
yeah. I definitely agree. We'll see. They are both two teams that have decided they are done with the rebuild and they are ready to go. You know what I mean? So we'll see.
It'll be exciting. I hope both of them at least put up good series in however many rounds they go, because I don't want to see us have any teams that show up and then get blown out. I want to see 6-7 game series all across the board, no matter who it is. So I'm hoping we see that. I definitely think both teams could put up that type of performance, but I think the Rockets have a little less playoff experience, and a little less. I think who knows? Time will tell, but
Yeah.
definitely we'll touch back in, and I think both teams will still be within that 5th, 6th spot by the end of the season. Moving on, talking a little more Lakers basketball before we get to our top 5. Obviously, the Lakers have a big game tonight, like we already talked about, but they have 2 more big games this week against the Clippers. And I did not realize this. I mean, I probably really did, but I was trying to not. We are 4-13 against them since 2020 and 21. That is I think that's the same
You
example.
did know that? That's like the same with Denver too.
Literally the
That's
same.
kind of our record with Denver
The
too. Those
same
two
exact
teams.
record. Now we're 4-14. I will say we got it. We got the 4th win against Denver. Do you think we get the 4-5 win against the Clippers, or do you think they beat us? Because honestly, I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you think we get them both times? Because we play them. Is it Thursday and Saturday? What is the? It's two
Friday. I think Friday, Saturday.
Friday,
Fridays. I
Saturday,
believe Fridays or Friday, Sunday. One of them too.
Friday, Sunday.
Yeah, it's Friday, Sunday. It should be
Friday.
Friday, Sunday. Yeah.
Do you think we get them in both, or do you think we split it, or do you think they still get the best of us like they have since? I mean, even since 2015-16, I think we're like 6 and like 15 or 17. Like, it's awful. It's been a minute.
They're both home games. The Clippers are not that good, Loki. Clippers are not that good. Like they are good, but they're just okay. They're definitely better than the teams below them, but you can definitely catch them out anytime. So yeah, I trust the Lakers to get business done, stand on business, and get the win. Get the win. Get 2 wins. Beat me. So let's go. It's not too. Let's go.
Yeah, no, I think I like the enthusiasm. I feel confident against them. I feel less confident because of that record, but I feel like we are the best we've been in a while, and they are. I don't know. I didn't think that they were very good with when they not Chris Paul. Well, they did have Chris Paul, but when they had Paul George and Kawhi, but they did smoke us a couple games when they had both of those players. The one thing though is I really think that the Clippers have potential to be a better team as they are now. So I think we are a better team than they are. I think that Luka and LeBron, that connection is getting stronger every single game, and I think it's going to continue to get stronger. And so because that's a rivalry game, and because that's a bit, and coming off of hopefully a big Mavs win, and I think they have another game before the Clippers won another game, or possibly not, though maybe not, because maybe they don't have a game before the Clippers won. But either way, the Lakers should have some steam built up from at least tonight's game. And they've been winning big. The Lakers have been playing really, really good basketball. And I'm going to be honest, Austin Reeves is that guy. I mean, he is becoming
Bonafide third option, soon to be second option. On
yes.
on any other team, he's a second option.
Honest, yes, 110%. And he's not been that before. I think this team's progression and development is where it hasn't been in so long. And shout out to JJ. You said it best. I believe it was first episode back, giving JJ his flowers, because I think that if you put Darvin Ham in this situation, we are not the same team. We are absolutely not the same team. I think that JJ has made even JJ has. It's almost like they're not afraid to shoot. They're not afraid to shoot threes. They're not afraid to do their thing, but they're doing it together. And it's a really fun thing to watch. Seeing them manhandle Denver like they did from the 3 and put up a bunch of shots. Were they missing some? Yes, but they're not a team that's afraid to shoot, and I'm not afraid to watch them shoot anymore. I remember before, every time they would shoot a 3, I would turn around. I couldn't watch. You knew it was going to brick. Now, that's one of the things that they're strong at. That's one of the things that they're doing that's helping them win games is moving the ball around on the outside, taking deeper shots, taking mid-range. I mean, it's exciting to watch. So I think we're going to see 2 wins against the Clippers. I do think it's going to be close. I think one's going to be an OT game. I think we're going to see one OT matchup. I think that'd be exciting. We see two blowouts. I don't know, but I think either way we see two wins. I will say I think the Clippers. I'd love to see the Clippers and Lakers match up in the playoffs somehow, some way. That would be that would be a dream to see a Clippers Lakers round one matchup. But we'll see. I don't know. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know what the matchups will look like. Either way, though, I think we are the better team. You said it best. I definitely think top to bottom we're the better team. I will say depth-wise, though, when they're completely healthy, they might have us when you look at the depth chart top to bottom. But at this point, I don't think depth chart really matters to the Lakers. I think JJ is proving that he's going to be able to make it work with who he has. And I think some of these players like Finney Smith, some of these players that I wasn't super happy about picking up are at least helping the game, and they're absolutely balling, and they're helping us win. And I think everyone has a vision for the Lakers right now. And so I honestly, I called it. I think the Lakers would finish third or fourth. I think they could absolutely finish third. I think they could finish third. I think if they can keep this momentum going, and if Luka can start, Luka said something about like, there's plenty more left. I mean, I think that he is going to have some 30, 40, 50, 60 point games left in him this season. And I think we're going to start seeing I think we're already seeing the offensive keys be given to Luka a little bit more and a little bit more control. And I think that's what you need because A, he's your future. That's who's going to be there longer than LeBron, hopefully at least. And B, I think he is at a place in his career where he is able to control and lead the offense, not better than LeBron, because LeBron is a great leader. But I just think that it's Luka getting the keys is important. And I think if he does, he's going to go off. So I think part of that is going to be seeing him go off tonight. I do really think he is going to have a big performance in tonight's game. And then I think he'll have continual big performances against the Clippers. So I think we'll be looking at, again, I think, do we have a break after tonight until our game on, or do we have another game?
Yeah, because it's this guy's today, then Thursday, Minnesota. So we do have Wednesday off.
Ooh, we got
Thursday, Minnesota Thursday.
Bro. Who knows though? Maybe next week when we talk, we were looking at a win over the Mavs, the Timberwolves, and 2 Clippers wins, because that would be, I think if we can go on a run like that, I think you got to start looking at the Lakers as being a legitimate team, because those are teams that do not mess around. Even though the Timberwolves are obviously not even in the playoff situation right now, they're still a team that is dangerous and that can get it done. And Ant is not going to let any team walk off. I mean, he is going to go off, especially if he's playing against a team like the Lakers. So he really competes against high caliber teams. And that is a player that seems to make the players around him better and helps make a team better. So you don't think so?
I don't know. That's an interesting take. I have to think about it for a minute. See, it makes players better. And
I mean, I would say if you take him off of that Timberwolves team and what he's doing, they're not where they're at. Not that they're in the best position, but when you took Cat away and when you changed that team up like that, I think that player who does that it's Ant now in Minnesota. So that's that leader player. Obviously, he's like, I don't think he's even much older. I think he's like 24, 25. So he's not a super old player, but I think he's kind of in that role now. But I mean, obviously they're not. I think they're 8th or 9th. So if they're not doing too much.
7th, 6th, 7th, 6th.
Okay, well then that's actually
7th, 8th. Yeah, 7th.
Well, they're in the fight then, because the West is insane this year, competitiveness wise. But I think, I don't know. Time will tell. I think the Lakers, the Timberwolves aren't the team they were last year. I think that's not as tough as a matchup as it would have been last year. But I still think it won't be an easy win, and I think they could definitely make it a game. But I think our hardest game of the week is probably against the. I don't know actually. I think these are all pretty winnable games. I don't know. I think our hardest game we already had our hardest game of the last few games, and that was the Nuggets. I think that was the biggest hurdle and the biggest challenge for a couple of games. Even though we're playing decently like marquee matchup games, I still think that these are winnable games for the Lakers. Not
Yeah.
easily, pretty. I think they could
Yeah.
easily win these games.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we'll be talking about them moving up, and if they do win all of these games, they'll be really moving up to that third spot. I don't know if they'll be in the third spot, but they'll be in the hunt more than they already are. So we'll check back in on that, but we're going to move on to our last segment of the show, which is the top of the hour five. We did, I believe, last time we did when we did the top 5 point guards of this season. Now we're going to do the top 5 small forwards of this season. So one thing I will say is one of the players on my list has been playing a different position since a player was traded, but he's been moving around. Last game he actually was playing small forward again. So there's one player that's kind of bounced around and played several positions this season, but this is the main position that he's played. So that's what I'm taking into account. So just a thing to take into account. I think it's just one player on my list that is like that. But David, coming at number 5, who is your number 5 small forward of the 2024-25 season?
DeMar DeRozan. I'm not going to look at the Kings record because I don't think that tells the full story. But he's probably the reason why they are where they are in terms of over since trading Fox. He's taken over the helm. Yeah, DeMar DeRozan. We know what he is. We know he's a mid-range guard. That's what he does for fun. We know who he is, and I think yeah. I don't have to say too much on DeMar. We know who he is. So yeah. Again, team stats don't tell the full story. So it is
I
what it is.
I do agree. No, that's a good pick. He was in my honorable mention list, but didn't quite make my top 5. My number 5 is Jimmy Butler.
Bro hasn't even played half the season. Bro is ineligible for awards this season. He literally hasn't played up until 3 weeks ago.
Look at his impact though. It's his impact is insane.
Yeah, I forgot to mention this earlier. Some might call it new player energy.
I mean, maybe. I think that I don't know. I think that he's going to keep that up, and I think he is a driving factor that the Warriors are even going to do what they've been doing. So he's got to be my number 5. I don't think there's a player that maybe DeRozan, but I don't think there's another player that would be able to replace him because I think
You'll be
he
surprised. You
who
will be surprised. You'll be surprised. That's what I'll say.
well that maybe I will be, but I think he's my 5 because his impact since he's came back has been massive, and I think it could even go up because I think he's still figuring out. I mean, the Warriors have seemed to find out and figure out their footing with these players, but I think it will continue.
He's played 31 games this season. 31 games this season.
Okay, that's bro. Out of like how many?
60 because the OKC are 47 and 10 out of 57.
Okay, so come on, you made it sound like he played like 2 games this season.
Yeah, well, okay.
30 I mean, I get what you're saying too, though. One thing I will say is he hasn't played. There are players that have played more. DeRozan has played more games, I believe.
Uh-huh.
How many more games has DeRozan played?
DeRozan has played 52 out of 57.
Okay, so DeRozan has played far more games. So if we're talking about consistency, playing wise, you can give that to DeRozan. That's fine. Team success and his impact, especially looking at as
What
of
team success? Miami, nothing.
talking about the
Use
Warriors.
Yeah, in 6 games. 6 games.
Statistically, there were still okay. Well, statistically, if you want to look at it, then he has two sides of it. He had the statistical success, and now he's having the team and statistical.
In Miami, were terrible. They are still terrible.
They are, but he still had some games when he played for them. He still had some high. He still had some games. He was one of the highlights before it all went south for them.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to say too much on this. I'm going to leave it to you.
It's fair, but yes, he Miami is a terrible team. I will give you that. But the team success I was only talking about is obviously the Warriors. It's the team, but it's new, but I don't see that ending. I think if we did this list in a couple of weeks, I think it would be I could defend it and say, but who knows? Maybe not. What if the Warriors start going on a losing streak now? Who you never know. But that's my number 5. Moving on to number 4. Who do you have sitting at your number 4 on this list?
Mikal Bridges. Mikal. One of the reasons why, obviously, the Knicks are terrible against the top teams. But every other team, they handle their business. And Mikal is the reason. Mikal, obviously, we know he doesn't miss games. We know he's been on a tear. 57 out of 57 games played this season is mental. You know, obviously, he's not the first option. He's not the second option. Some might say he might be the third. Some might say he might be the fourth, whatever it is. But he still, when he does need to be called upon, he is called upon, and he stands on business.
You know, he does. He's a solid player. Definitely a good pick. But like, yeah, New York has not shown up against the big teams, but they have definitely still kept their record going, and they've still stayed alive. So not a bad pick at all, and definitely has made himself a super important part of that team and of their success when they are winning. So good pick for sure. Moving on, number 4 from me, I got Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown's never a small forward. He's a power forward.
He's been playing
small. He's a power forward.
That's what Jason Tatum has been playing this season.
So we switch it. No, you can't have.
I've got Jaylen Brown because he has played a majority of that position this season for them. Tatum has picked up a lot of the minutes at the power forward position. So because I don't know. I got him there though because he's been over 20 points a game, and he's been a big part of their success and keeping them where they're at in the rankings in the East. Coming to number 3. Who do you got at number 3?
Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. Obviously, Jokic, he's the third option in that team. We all know that. We all know that after Jokic, Jamal, then Michael Porter Jr. Before the All-Star break, he was on a tier of 20 points game of like 5 in a row 20-point game before the All-Star break. So we know what he can do. We know what he's lethal. So credit to him. Again, this season, I think he's taking his game up just a bit, just a tad up. So credit to him.
That's a good pick for sure. Definitely a super big part of that team, and he's had some injury stuff, but he's stayed pretty consistent when he's been on the court, at least. Coming in at number 3 for me is Jalen Williams for OKC. One thing about OKC is they don't just have one scorer; they have multiple scorers, and Jalen Williams is one of them. He is a pretty consistent player, and he's definitely, I would say OKC is not a team that has just a one-two punch. They have multiple 1-2 punches that can go at different nights. So I think SGA is always part of that 1-2 punch, but I think Williams is a big part of that too on a lot of nights for OKC. So I've got to go Jalen Williams because OKC has had a lot of team success, and with that, he's also had a pretty good amount of statistical success that has helped contribute to some big wins. So that's my number 3 for sure. Moving on, we're at a top 2. Number 2 and number 1 is the one that is played a different position a few times, but is still mainly 1. But my number 2, who do you got for 2?
Jason Tatum, the actual small forward of the Boston Celtics. I don't care where you play. You can play center, you can play 1, you can play 2. Well, technically, we all play positionless basketball now, so it doesn't really matter no more. Just so. But if we are based on Jason Tatum. I mean, I don't have to speak for you. We all know what's going on. We don't have to say too much. So, let's not even say too much.
Fair. I mean, listen, I think the Celtics have just kind of used a lineup where Tatum has taken more of that power forward role. But like you said, I mean, basketball is definitely more, I'm not saying positionless now, but there is a lot more there's a lot. It's a lot different. There's a lot bigger of a change, and you see these teams that are like small ball. They don't even not that you don't need centers, but there's a lot of different team makers. So I will say I do agree with you on that. For me, the reason I did not have Tatum on this list was because I've seen him. It looks like he's taken up more of that role, but still, obviously, he is that marquee guy. Moving on to my number 2, I've got I think you say Franz Wagner.
37 games this season.
25 points a game.
He's missed 20 games.
25 points a game.
There are 82 games in the season.
Name six scored more than 25 points a game.
To be ineligible for an award category in the NBA, you need to miss about 20 plus games.
How many small forwards have averaged more than 25 points a game?
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
It's just Tatum. I'm pretty sure it's literally just Jason Tatum is the only one, if you want to call him that, even though he's doing but it's just I think he's the highest scoring one. Come on now. But 37 games out of 57, 52.
Yes, that's 20 games. That's 20. He's ineligible for any award this season. Technically, if he plays out the rest of the season, he's missed 20 out of 82 games. That's what, 60, 62?
Do you need 64?
You need 65.
65.
Hence, your Jimmy Butler.
I mean, so here's the thing. I guess I don't know. I don't know. I think.
No, I will give you that he's been balling. He's the one that I remember sent the Lakers home a few months back. If you remember that game where they won on a buzzer beater. So he's been balling. He's one of the reasons why Orlando, obviously, but he also got injured too. So that's quite sad. But I'll give you. But then I can't name him because he's missed too many games. That's just what it is.
I mean, I don't know. That's, to me, is not, if you only played like 15 to 20 games, I think for me that is but I think when you've played 30 plus and we're at where we're at in this season, I still think that's something. But I get where you're coming from too. I just think definitely, since he's the highest scoring and one of the most productive ones, he's got to make the list for me. Because again, like a Bridges player might be more consistent in games, but that's definitely not a player that's doing what he's doing. So it's like you get both. You get consistency, and then you get the highest scoring one in the league. So I don't know. Moving on to number 1 though. Who do you got sitting at number 1?
I mean, I think we both got same number 1, LeBron James. Obviously, we all know he's not necessarily a small forward. He can be whatever he wants to be honest. But by definition of small forward, I think he is the best small forward. I don't see any player. The closest I'll say is probably Jason Tatum, if we want to be, really specific. So it is what it is.
I would agree. I would say Jason Tatum is definitely the closest in like the entirety of what LeBron does for a team. I would say Tatum is the closest for sure, because that has been, I think up until this season, that's what his position, like even during the regular season, they had him in the lineup as the small forward for the majority / all of the season. So I don't know why they've kind of switched it around for some of the games this year, but I'll be interested to see what they do come playoff time. Will Tatum be starting for power? What will they do with that? It'll be interesting to see. They're a good tandem, but it'll be interesting to see if they're together for their whole careers or if one splits off and what happens to the other. So that is kind of an interesting thing with Tatum, but I do agree. Definitely Tatum is the closest, but LeBron is doing so much, and he's in years at, I think, 21. So LeBron is doing special things at a time where no one has done it in their career. So I think, LeBron is still that step above, and I think we can both agree on that one for sure, because he's a different type of player still. So definitely a good top 5. Let us know if there's any top 5s you guys want to see in future shows, or any segments in upcoming shows you guys are interested in seeing. This is not the only place you can find us. David, where else can our viewers find you for podcasts?
Check us out, Minor Football Fans Podcast. New episode came out today. Hope you all check it out and enjoy it. New episode will be out again Friday, because we have a midweek series of games. So check us out. We hope to see you all there. Yeah.
Definitely, yes. Make sure that you guys check them out. It's always a good time. And college football junkies will return on Yankee and the Brit probably in like a month. I'm not sure exactly when, but probably around spring ball time, we'll
Spring
start.
ball time. Yeah.
It's coming up though, man. And this weather is a reminder of that. So we'll be talking football before you know it. But that's where you can find us, and we'll let you know if there's any changes or anything else in the future that we're doing. So thank you guys so much for tuning in as always, and we will be back to talk more basketball with you guys next week. Have a great week.
Yes, sir.